رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، خلق الإنسان علمه البيان، وخلق الشمس والقمر بحسبان، والأرض وضعها ووضع الميزان، وأنزل من السماء ماء فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها وكذلك تنشرون، وهو الأول وهو الآخر وهو الظاهر وهو الباطن وهو على كل شيء قدير وهو السميع البصير وإليه المصير. وأشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا وحبيبنا ونبينا وشفيعنا ومثلنا وقائدنا ومعلمنا وهادينا وشفيعنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين، أرسله الله بشيرا ونذيرا وهاديا إلى صراطه وسراجا منيرا، فلقد أدى الأمانة وبلغ الرسالة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في سبيل ربه حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. اللهم اجزه عنا وعن والدينا عن أمة المسلمين خيرا من اجزيت به نبينا أمته ورسولا عن قومه، وأوردنا حوضه واشربنا من يده الكريمة الشريفة شربة لا نظمأ بعدها أبدا، وادخلنا مدخلا كما آمنا به ولم نرى. اللهم آمين، اللهم آمين، اللهم آمين. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of care and love for the believer, He say, "Oh, you believe, oh, you have said La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, do the best taqwa that you can, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deserves, and do not die except as Muslimin." So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those that they do the best taqwa in their life, and when we die Muslimin, and we meet Allah subhanahu, we meet Him as mu'mineen. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. We are about to witness another Eid al-Adha and another year of the Hijri calendar. And of course everyone knows the benefits of worshipping or doing extra worship and extra good deeds during the first 10 days of the Hijjah, which inshallah will start on Sunday. And we know why we're doing it, because we want to go to Jannah. But really we should ask ourselves, yes, we want to go to Jannah, but which part of Jannah? South side of Jannah or north side of Jannah? I'm talking about Chicago area. The south side is not as good as the north side. I don't know here if it's east and west. Do we really want to just go to Jannah? Or do we want to go to Jannat Adn? Or we want to go to Jannat al-Firdaus? Or even better yet, do we really want to be neighbors of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us very few little things that we can do that can get us into the best places in Jannah and also can make us live the best way in life. As we read on الجمعة Surah Al-Kahf, we read about that Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam and Al-Khidr, they go to a village that they know nobody there. And not only that, that village are really bad people. Because they ask him for food, they didn't give him food. I mean, if they didn't ask him for money or a house or whatever, just ask him for food and they refused. But what happened, they found a wall that's about to fall down. So Khidr will start to build it up. And Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam will ask him, why you build it up? He could have asked for money for that. But the answer was that that wall belongs to two orphans in the city. And their parents left them a treasure underneath the wall. And their parents were Salihin. Now, if that wall would have fallen down, this means that treasure will be exposed. And those people of the village that they wouldn't give food, Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam and Al-Khidr, they would have taken that treasure away from those kids. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He have sent the Prophet and a pious man to rebuild that wall for two orphans. And that's why Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he tells us, on the day of judgment, I and those who take care of orphans will be like this. So here is the situation where we want to be. Just be in Jannah, just be even al-Firdaus al-A'la, or to be neighbors of Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. over 1,000 years ago, Imam Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, rahmatullah alayh, he gave one of the shortest khutbahs in history by Imam of his caliber. What he said after saying, Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah, he will say, لقمة في بطن جائع خير من بناء ألف جامع. A bite of food in the stomach of a hungry person is better than building 1,000 masajid. وخير من ركوع راكع لله راكع. And better than people who spend all their life just praying. And وخير ممن كسى الكعبة وألبسها البراقة. And even better than those who will bring the clothing for the Kaaba الشريفة and beautify the Kaaba. وخير ممن جاهد للكفر بسيف مهند قاطع. And better than one who will do jihad in سبيل الله سبحانه وتعالى with a very mighty cutting sword. وخير ممن صام الظهر والحر واقع. And better than one who will fast all life long in the worst of summer. And then he concluded by saying, when the flower ends in the stomach of a person who's jaya, who's hungry, it will have a shining like a sun, bright sun. And then he said, فَبُشْرَى لِمَنْ أَطْعَمَ جَائِعًا. So he said the good news for those who will feed hungry people. As you go around Muslim houses, I'm not saying un-Muslim houses, and look at their garbage cans, you will find that there is a lot of food there that can feed a tribe. While in the meantime, there are millions of Muslims around the world, and of course non-Muslims as well, who cannot even find the garbage to eat from it. It's a sad situation. It's a sad situation because 70 years ago, Muslim Ummah had a problem in Palestine and Kashmir. But now, we have practically problem everywhere. We have problem in Somalia, we have problem in Libya, we have problem in Yemen, we have problem in Iraq, we have problem in Syria, Palestine, you name it, everywhere. While Muslims' population around the world is less than 25%, but guess what? Orphans and refugees of the world, Muslims contribute to 60% of the refugees and the orphans around the world. While in the meantime, Muslim world is one of the richest ummahs around. We have everything. Just to talk about the Muslims in the United States, the latest statistic says that Muslim in the United States, their income is 4 times the income of an average American. Can you imagine that? Our income, our average income of a Muslim in the United States is 4 times than Joe Blow. But in the meantime, we have Muslims who are suffering here and suffering everywhere. And if it was, people will die out of hunger or diseases, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of them and will consider them to be martyrs, shuhada. But the problem is, practically for every Muslim relief organizations, there is maybe 100 non-Muslim relief organizations. They give the Muslims a loaf of bread with one hand, and they give them the Bible or other books with the other hand. They go and bring them over here to the United States and to Europe, not for the sake of their human conditions, but so they can change their religion. And we have many examples around. Not only that, they have one of their victims who became a Christian, and she goes around TV stations and what have you, and she attacks Islam and Muslims around. But you know something? The problem is not them, the problem is us. Because if we have taken care of those Muslims, that they are suffering from hunger or from diseases or lack of water or lack of whatever, we wouldn't have any problems. And we can do that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, you see, here is the thing that we cannot understand it yet. That everything we have is not ours. It's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He described the muttaqeen, He says, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. From whatever we gave them, they spent. But when He described the regular Joe Blow Muslim or Muhammad Abdu Muslim, He said, مَنْ ذَا الَّذِي يُقْرِضُ اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا فَيُضَاعِفُ لَهُ. Who will lend Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a beautiful loan, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give it back many times over. You know, we understand there is Allah. And that's why when we are stuck, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You find somebody here in the midst of winter with 600 feet of snow and driving on the highway, and one of a sudden the car stops. Of course, the first thing we're going to look to our phone to call AAA. Now, if the phone is not there, or the phone is not working, then we start thinking about friends and what have you, and who's closer to us. And finally, when everything doesn't work, we say, Ya Rab. We say, Ya Rab. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that the hasana bi'ashri amthaliha, that every good deed is given back 10 times over, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah that the example of those who spend their money in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like putting a seed in the ground, and that seed will give growth to 7 ears, and every ear has 100 seeds. This means 700 times. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يُضَاعِفُ لِمَنْ يَشَاءُ, multiply to whomever He wants. And the multiplication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not that the 700 will be 701. No, the 700 will be 1400. And the 1400 will be 2800. But do we really believe that? 20 some years ago, a friend of mine's son graduated from college, and he worked in the Chicago stock board. So he called me, I'm Faisal, I have a good stocks for you. I said, how much do the return? He said, oh, could be 10-12%. I said, really? He said, yeah, and he was so proud. I said, you know, I have something better than that. He said, better than 10-12%? I said, yeah. He said, like what, 15? I said, no, more than 15. 16? I said, no more. We kept going up and up till we reached 30%. And you know what he said? I'm a Faisal, are you talking religious now? Are you talking religious? We don't believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We really don't. Because if we do, we would be the first one to invest with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the beauty with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't have to put our own money. We put His money. So the risk is on Him, and the reward is for us. Several years ago in Chicago, a brother with a long beard, he came with some mullahs and started selling a development project to the Muslims in the greater Chicago area. And he was claiming that you're going to have a return 20% on your money. To make a long story short, he collected over $50 million. 15 of them were from a bank. And he's gone. Nobody knows where he is. But guess what? People put with him their lifetime savings. Widows and older people, retired people, they put all their retirement money with them. For what? For 25 or 24%. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, I'll give you at least 10 times means what? 1,000%. And 700 is 70,000%. But do we really do that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And unfortunately, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to do something, He's asking also the whole ummah to do it for us. So if He's asking us to take care of an orphan, He's asking the whole ummah to take care of my kids in case I die and I leave nothing for my orphans. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell me not to steal, He's telling also the whole ummah not to steal from me. Can you look at stealing? How much one can steal from just this group here? Even if he is 700 pounds and 700 feet tall and have a gun in his hand. But on the other hand, how much we will steal from him if we decide to steal everything from him. I think we can take even his eyelashes and every hair that he has on his body. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you do anything good, it's for yourself. It's a down payment. It's a down payment to have a good life here and a down payment to have a place in Jannah close to our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Unfortunately, the Muslim Ummah is going through tough times. And most of the tough times is by our own doing. By our own doing. Nobody else. Because as one of the scholars said, there is no way one person become a dictator in a country and control everybody in that country unless everybody in that country bow down and let them ride on them. No wonder Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that saying the truth to a tyrant and getting killed for it is one of the martyrship. But we have decided to take the easy way, as they have been training us for the last hundreds of years. Go to the masjid on Jum'ah, you are okay. You pray 5 times a week, man, you are a religious person. But if you go to Fajr prayer, you are classified differently. And if you talk about politics, you are a terrorist. And if you worry about the orphans, it's none of your business. That's how we've been raised. That's how we've been trained. If you pray 5 times. But have they taught us when we were little kids that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Sami' Basir Alim? That He's the most seeing? He can see every and anything in the darkest of the darkness. And He can hear everything, regardless where you are, even in the middle of the earth. And He knows even what's in our heart. Because if we have taught our kids, if we have been taught like this, we don't really need to learn anything anymore. Because we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is around us, everywhere. If I do something wrong, He's going to see it. And He said, I know you're going to do something wrong. All you have to do is say, Astaghfirullah. Please forgive me, Allah. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah At-Tawbah about the 3 Sahabis that didn't go with the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, فَتَابَ عَلَيْهِمْ لِيَتُوبُوا. تَابَ عَلَيْهِمْ لِيَتُوبُوا. The Tawbah was sitting there waiting for them. All they have to do, they say, نَتُوبُ إِلَى اللَّهِ. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He called Himself Al-Ghafur. Ghafur means what? The maghfirah and the forgiveness is there waiting for us to call it. Astaghfirullah. Al-Razzaq, give me rizq. Al-Qawi, support my weakness. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they taught us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just the 3 names, As-Sami' Al-Basir Al-Alim, the world will be the safest. Because if you remember many years ago, to scare people on the highways, they used to put policemen in the squad cars. And it's funny, you find people going 150 miles an hour, and all of a sudden everybody slows down to 25 miles an hour. And then you see there is a car there. Now they find out it works, but they don't have enough policemen, so they will put just the squad cars with no policemen. Now, when people start figuring out that this was the case, then they start speeding up again. Then they start putting cameras. Then they try to identify where the cameras are, and when the camera, they know where the camera is, they start slowing down, and after that they start speeding up. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no, I can see you anytime. I don't need a camera. I don't need a policeman. All I need is a heart connected. And I'll make you live safe in this world and safe in the hereafter. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called himself Al-Ghafur Rahim. To what extent? To the extent that when the kuffar challenged every prophet and messenger and told him, if the Rabb is your Lord is true, let him throw rocks on us or punish us. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said he will never punish us. And he was telling the believers at that time with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he will never punish them as long as the Prophet was there. And he will never punish them as long as they ask for forgiveness. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروا الله إن الله يحب المستغفرين ويحب التوابين ويحب المتطهرين. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. When we're talking about Hajj, believe it or not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He is calling for Hajj, He's not calling only the Muslims. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that Hajj is a debt on every human being. وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حَجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. Every human being should do Hajj. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to those who do the Hajj and to Muslim at large, they have to offer a sacrifice. And then when we talk about the sacrifice, let's just go back in history. Let's go back in history. Here is Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam have reached over 100 years old. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless him with a son. Then he wakes up. He had a dream. Not that Jibreel came to him. No, it's a dream. To slaughter his own son. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Any of us? Then he calls his son. I said, his son, I have a dream. What is the dream, Dad? You're going to get me a new car? I'm going to get a new iPhone? No, son. I have to slaughter him. Of course, if it happens today, 9/11 will be called and no one can reach anybody because everybody is going to be calling 9/11 and calling the police and running out and screaming and yelling. But the son said, Dad, do whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have ordered you to do. You're going to find me among the sabirin. And this is what the Islam is all about. It's total commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And total obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Total obedience. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, I will never ask you to do anything above your capability. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. I'm not going to ask you to do anything that you cannot do. This means everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks us to do, He created us to do it. And let's look at it, what it is. Praying 5 times? Takes what? 5 minutes, 5 times? Fasting Ramadan? Now all the medical resources and medical researchers and medical authorities say that fasting is the best thing happens to the body and the health of the human being. Paying zakat? What? 2.5%? It's a protection for me before it is giving to the poor. Doing Hajj. If Hajj is done the proper way, this will be the international conference of the Muslims that they meet together and they discuss their own affairs and even they do business as well. Qiyam al-Layl, Tahajjud, believe it or not, you read a lot of medical researches that they said getting up during the night, especially the last 1/3 of the night, and getting water into your nose and going up and down a couple steps will make you healthier. So it's everything for ourselves. And on the top of that, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us to do and pay anything, it's not our money, He's giving us the money. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell us about the real muttaqeen. الذين ينفقون في السراء والضراء. Those who spend when they have it and they spend when they don't have it. They spend when they are having a job and they spend when they don't have a job. They spend when they have plenty and they spend when they have just enough to live by. So today, brothers and sisters, I come to you from Life for Relief and Development. As we come close to Eid al-Adha, believe it or not, there are millions of Muslims that they only see meat once a year, if they see it, because not everyone get an opportunity, and the money that we collect is not enough for everybody to have meat on one day, which is Eid al-Adha. There are a lot of Muslims who are having no place to live. And not only that, as you know, we have brothers and sisters in places like Burma, in Yemen, in Iraq and Syria, that they are being bombarded, and Gaza is being bombarded every day. They live practically in a hell. So here today, you have the opportunity to prove to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are from the muttaqeen, and also take care of orphans so we can reserve our place next to our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because believe it or not, on the day of judgment, every human being is going to be rushing to their prophets and messengers. And they say, help me, help me, help me, help me, help me. Do shafa'ah with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And everybody will point out to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam will do sujood in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he will ask him shafa'ah for his ummah. So here we are. What we're going to tell Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the day of judgment. Yes, we did the sunnah, prayed sunnah, but we heard about that we can stand next to you in Jannah if we take care of an orphan. But however, we said maybe somebody else will take care of them. Or we will be there to tell our Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we took care of an orphan, not only for 1 month, but for a lifetime. It doesn't take much. It's $55 per orphan per month for food, education, and clothing. And again, for udhiyah, it's up to you. Whatever you want to do, tahiyah. You want to do $50, you want to do $100, you want to do $250, it depends. You want to send it to Somalia, you want to send it to Sudan, you want to send it to Gaza, you want to send it wherever you want. It's up to you. So inshallah, after we finish from the khutbah, as you go out, there is a table there. Just you can donate in cash, you can donate in checks, you can donate in credit card, and you can donate in whatever you want, and whatever amount you want. But the thing of this, let's make sure today we will reserve our place next to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So at least I'll take care of 1 orphan a month, if not more. And if it's not for longer than 1 month. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have promised us, as I said before, 700 times. 700 times. And people do not visualize that. But let me put it in a dollar and cents. 10 years ago, I had a little pain in my neck. And I called the doctor said, go to the emergency room. I go to the emergency room, they do blood test. They said, no, we have to keep you in. There's something wrong with your blood system. To make a long story short, they found that I have 4 arteries. 3 of them are 100% blocked and 1 is 80%. They didn't say I'm going to give you a shot. They didn't say I gave you a pill. No, they said we're going to cut you up. So they cut me out. Opened my chest. Took my heart out. And fixed 4 arteries. They didn't bring the arteries from their home. They took it from my thigh. So the only thing is they did is just the connection. And guess what? They charged the insurance. $150,000. So you can imagine if they have the artery that they brought it from their bank, or if they have the heart, they brought it from the bank. So you can add up how much we have that we're walking with, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is controlling it and making it to work 100% efficient from nothing that we have. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If you count one blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will never be able to count it. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those that they take care of each other and support each other and have each other's back and provide for each other's family and give nasiha to each other. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those that they love each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and support each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So on the day of judgment when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks, who are those who love each other for my sake? Inshallah, all of us will be among them, and all of us, inshallah, will enter Jannah without hisab. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا برحمتك شر ما قضيت فإنك سبحانك تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك ولا يعز من عاديت ولا يذل من واليت تبارك سبحانك وتعاليت. اللهم